The key to loving yourself. Topics: you are more than the soul. The conscious you is the seat of free will. When you identify yourself as an extension of God, you will experience God's love for you. Identifying yourself with the I Am presence. Know yourself before you can love yourself. You were created worthy of God's love. Question: when the soul first separates herself from the I Am presence, she builds her ego, the ego around herself. How does she learn to love herself so that she can get back to the oneness with her I Am presence? Why is it so difficult for all human beings to learn to love ourselves before we can learn to love anybody else? Answer from Ascended Master Jesus through Kim Michaels. It will be helpful to make a distinction between the soul and you. The soul is a vehicle that facilitates your journey into the material universe. The soul allows you to interact with the physical body and its dense energies. Yet in many previous teachings and in many teachings on spirituality and psychology, the term soul is used as a very general term, and it is sometimes assumed that people understand the nature of the soul. But the soul has different aspects, and you are more than your soul. Even though many people, even many spiritual people, assume that the soul is the totality of their beings. You are familiar with the concept of the I Am presence as the higher self, and some people think that the I Am presence is part of their soul, but this is not so. The soul is made from the lower energies of the material realm, while the I Am presence is made of the higher vibrations of the spiritual realm and never descends below the level of the spiritual octave. So when you understand the concept of the I Am presence, you can understand that the I Am presence is above and beyond the soul. Yet the I Am presence does not descend into the lower vibrations. It was not the I Am presence that fell into the duality consciousness, and truly, before the fall into the duality consciousness, what most people call the soul had not yet come into existence, because the soul came into existence to facilitate your journey into the lower vibrations of the material universe and also of the duality consciousness. So, what was it that decided to partake in the fruit of the knowledge of relative good and evil? Was it not the I Am presence? Because how could the I Am presence fall? Neither was it the Christ self, for the Christ is always one with the Father. So there must be another part of you that is not the lower vehicle of the soul, yet not the I Am presence. And truly, that part of you is what gives you the sense of self. Mother Mary explains this in great detail in her books about the abundant life, and she calls the part of you that makes conscious choices for the conscious you. It is the seat of your free will, and it was that part of you that made the decision to experiment with the duality consciousness. So, back to your question. We might say that the soul will never really learn to love itself because the soul is a vehicle for your journey in the lower realm. And in the lower realm, nothing can fully accept God's unconditional love. So the soul cannot truly fathom the concept of unconditional love, but the conscious you can experience unconditional love. What you need to ponder is the conscious you and what it is. If you ponder this, you will gradually come to an understanding of this, and you will come to see that there is more to you than the soul. And the unique characteristic of the conscious you is that it has the ability to identify itself with anything it chooses. It is the seat of your free will, so it can choose to identify itself as what it truly is, a son or daughter of God, a co-creator with God. or it can choose to identify itself as a human being who is mortal, perhaps even a sinner who is unworthy to approach God. In fact, the conscious you can identify itself as a rock or as a tree, or it can think that it is Jesus Christ or Napoleon or some other being. And you indeed see people in mental hospitals who are so identified with a person they are not. And this shows you the ability of the conscious you to identify itself with anything because it has free will and unlimited imagination. So, you cannot teach your soul to love itself or to love yourself. You need to get in contact with the conscious you. Yet how can you get in contact with the conscious you? Because you are the conscious you, and this is what you need to see. You see, when we give you a concept such as the I am presence, it is easy for you to see that the I am presence is above and beyond you, as being separated from you. And in a sense, this is true, because when you are in the duality consciousness, you are at a lower vibrational level than your I am presence. Yet the conscious you can identify itself fully with the I am presence. And that is when you say, I and my Father are one. So, my point is that before you can learn to love yourself, you must come to know yourself. You must come to know the conscious you. And then you must realize that the conscious you is the seat of your free will, and that you must choose how you will identify yourself. If you identify yourself with the soul, which is the lower vehicle, you will not be able to love yourself, because the soul, as I said, cannot grasp God's unconditional love. And it is only that love, the perfect love that casts out all fear, which will give you the sense that you are worthy of God's love. And therefore, only then can you accept God's love. So, as you ponder this and begin to realize who you really are as a conscious being who is making choices, you can gradually come to see that in order to love yourself, you must choose to accept who you are, namely an individualization of God. And only by choosing to acknowledge who you are can you accept that because you are created out of God's being, you are worthy of God's love. And only then can you accept that God's love truly is unconditional. And only then can you separate yourself from all identification with the lower vehicles, be it the soul, the ego, the dualistic mind, or the physical body, or even the things of this world. I encourage you to study the full teaching by Mother Mary, who goes into so much depth and detail that it is beyond anything previously released on this topic, and therefore too complicated to go into here.